Sure, there's going to be a few questions. Not surprised by the attendance. So we'll start with Tatís. He's going on the IL. I'll give you the best explanation. I'm sure there'll be some follow-up questions. You know, in broad strokes, I mean, it's been pretty clear he's been dealing with the quad. You know, it's something that is really unique in a sense that it hasn't caused him a ton of discomfort being at full speed. It hasn't bothered him with anything with his swing or anything offensively, but clearly it's something that when he has to decelerate and it got to the point where he had to start to accelerate, started to bother more, and just the pounding of a jog actually created more discomfort for him. And so, you know, what we felt like medically was a more of a muscular deal that he was going to be able to play with and play through, and clearly he has very well, we might add. And then once it started to feel like it was starting to impact him a little bit more consistently, you know, the group stopped and said, hey, what does this need to, we need to get some imaging. And it turns out he's got a slight stress reaction in that area. So, you know, we found this out a couple of days ago. Spoke with him, spoke to a bunch of medical people, including our trainers and so forth. He could still play because he's been playing with it, but it's something that it's not going to get better unless we rest it.
When you say stress reaction, is that a stress fracture or is it just a muscular
stress reaction?
Okay, so it's strictly muscular?
No, it's bone.
Oh, it is bone.
It is bone. Yeah, that's the thing that was, you know, causing us some uncertainty with the medical group, with him about how it was presenting, and it was presenting as muscular, but it turned out to be, you know, bone. And again, you know, it's a stress reaction. Some people may call it a fracture at some point. I don't get into the weeds with the medical terminology, but it has been labeled a reaction, and has been diagnosed. And it is something that even right now, like the last 2 days, he was available to take an at bat. Like he's been available for the last several months. He could actually still continue to play. The reality, though, is he was starting to get to a point where he was going at a high percentage of clip and starting to see a little bit of more compromised of, I think we all saw it, of how he's able to perform. So we're going to take some time, let him heal. He's a young, great athlete that we anticipate to heal quicker, but we don't have a timetable on it.
Is the expectation or the hope that it'll be 10 days, or is it pretty much known that it might be longer than that? Or
you know, I think we always want to hope it's going to be closer to 10 days. I think we should be realistic and expect some. If we're going to do this, we do have an advantage in the schedule right now, where we have clearly the All-Star break coming up, and I'm not saying it's going to go through the All-Star break, or I can't tell you that. I don't think, because nobody knows. So it'd be, but we do have, I did my math right, which could be sketchy. I believe we have 15 games in the next, you know, before the All-Star break type thing. So we got or 17 games rather in like 25 days. So yeah, there's no time to miss Tatís. But if we're going to rest it now, we're going to have about a 25-day window that could be early, could be later. But my point is that we have a point in the schedule where we're not going to miss many games with this break.
The associated moves that are going on the IL, and also we saw some other players that look like they're moving as well.
Yeah, we do have some moves. In no particular order. We got Bryce Johnson is on the club in the lineup today. So Bryce is, you know, I don't know who gets moved for who, but Bryce is on the roster in Tatís, you know, stead. Play all the outfield positions starting tonight against the lefty. We have Rosario back. Eggy will be back. You know, he's done a really nice job in AAA at the expense of, you know, moving sugar. So Zokar will go down and get some at-bats and work on his game. And then, you know, Mazur will also be up for Brito. And so, you know, the move there, which I'm sure questions will be coming relative to Mr. Darvish. But let's unpack, you know, the move with Brito right now. It's really when I say it's a positive move for Brito didn't take it that way necessarily. And when you go to the minor leagues, like, hey, this is great. But it is a positive move for the organization. It's a big picture move. Johnny's done a nice job here. He's pitched in a lot of different roles. But we also look up, and this is a guy that has pitched in a longer relief setting for us and done well, has the weapons to be able to turn over lineups. So he's going to go to El Paso as a starter and start to get built up and create some organizational depth. So that's a valuable thing for us and for him. And those are the moves.
You already presented the segue for it, so are we still expecting to see you on the mound tomorrow?
Yeah, I just wanted you to talk for a while. And we're not going to see Darvish on the mound tomorrow. Major's going to take that start, which is why he's the move for Brito. Getting some medical things still corrective. He's got a little inflammation in his elbow. Do we think it's serious? We don't. As most of these things early on, there's optimism, but it's not blind. So we'll just continue to evaluate it. But, we don't think it's going to be too much longer, but it is going to be longer than him being able to take the start tomorrow.
But how do you plan to kind of do so over the next couple of weeks? Taking a spot in the field? Is Johnson, Peralta kind of?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's similar to Manny. You don't replace Manny, but I was really pleased with what we were able to do early in the season with Wade and Rosario, and we mixed Paul in there a little bit too, but we got some real production out of those guys while Manny was not able to go back and play third base. And so it's similar here, and I think Johnson's clearly getting the opportunity today. Wade will get some opportunities. Don't be surprised if we're going to get Rosie out there and see what that looks like, defensively, and get him some work, and get our comfort level up to maybe that's a piece against especially lefties to create an opportunity for the offensive side of it. So it'll be a holistic approach, and we're expecting the same or better results we got when Manny was down, and Bogey's been down. Contributions from other people.
Is Darvish expected to miss multiple starts?
I think we're still in the process of figuring that out. I mean, he just got through with a rehab where he was built up to 49 pitches. He set a step back again. What that looks like, how long, hard to determine. Clearly, the longer the time away from throwing, the longer the ramp up.
Coach, can you talk about Luis Ariz, what he means to you guys since you guys got him and he's playing handle?
We haven't yet seen Fernando's since I think Friday. How did he take the news, and how much did he push against the idea of going on AL and trying to play through it?
It's a good time to stop and praise Fernando. This is a guy that's dealt with a lot, has come through it on the good side, has played really well, played through what turned out to be a reaction of a bone that was, clearly problematic than is, and played, talking about all-star, this guy's put together an all-star first half. And so, could he continue to have played? Yes. Do we feel like it was a smart move? We had the conversation with him, with the medical group, and, he slept on it, we slept on it, and everybody came to the same place. Like, as much as we want you now and need you and always want Fernando Tatis in our lineup, and you can still be relative to productive at whatever percent you have at the moment, 60 or 70, it's not fair to him. And, listen, I'll let him speak for himself, but disappointed, but also, Fernando's a very thoughtful, conscientious, intelligent guy that also sees big picture and was able to process it, take the information in, sleep on it, get the counsel, and then be able to make an informed decision, which I think is the right decision.
So based on the recommendation from your medical team, are you prepared to be without him till the All-Star break? What are you?
Yeah, I just mentioned that we have time because the All-Star break's around the corner, and this injury, like any injury, requires some time. But in this specific injury, it's especially a lower half issue. Rest is important. So the more time we can buy him, I'm not saying he will or won't be back before the All-Star break. I'm just saying, and I don't want to put a timeline on it because it could be prior, and it could be post, where he's still not ready to go past the All-Star break. The time and how he heals. will be a determinant of that. So, but he was rightfully upset, but understandably professional and saw the big picture of what we're trying to do. The good news is, and I'm not saying it'll happen short term, but offensively, he's been able to swing the bat without any pain. And we don't feel like he's going to be overly limited in still being able to keep the bat moving. So that's a really encouraging thing to know that he can still get a feel for his hitting and do that, because the other things he can pick back up pretty quickly. So that's the one encouraging thing. I don't think he's going to have a high volume of it right now, but moving forward, he's still going to be able to hit. It is an issue with that. It's just got a little reaction in the bone. It's not a big one, but it's also something that, I mean, just the more he plays, the more, he can do damage to it, and he's going to be compromised. And I think the thing for us with him is okay, it just started to, the recovery was harder, the effort was harder. So just like, we're not, let's don't push this. You can play, great. Like he was available the last 2 days, taking at bat before he finalized the decision and finalized some of the moving parts with the roster. But let's just get it behind us, get it rested, and go from there.
Mike, how much is Winners Find Solutions, like, how much is that getting tested?
It's tested every day. Some days it's tested more than others. But, to wrap up all these things that we talk about with injuries, and, we're going to be there for Fernando. We're going to be supportive of him. We're going to be supportive of you. We're clearly going to continue to be supportive of Bogey and Joe. The show goes on, and we got to figure out how to continue to move this mission forward. And to AJ's question earlier, we're going to get contribution from a lot of different people, and got to continue to find ways to shake hands in the games and keep this thing moving. And those guys will be back at some point, and there'll be reinforcements. It'll be like huge trade pieces for us. But no one's going to feel sorry for us, so we got to buckle down and figure out how we're going to compete to win baseball games, and we'll do that.
Mike, quick comment on. I'm sorry. Just a quick capper on Tati. The elbow where he was hit in the arm, is that an issue at all? In any case, and on that stress reaction, do we know what caused it, when it happened, how this thing evolved?
Yeah. So relative to getting hit by pitch, he was available but sore the following day. A little bit of, but it's just a matter of getting the information out. Nothing structural and nothing that would have kept him out of the lineup even yesterday. So that's a non-issue. When it happened, it's hard to say. He started feeling discomfort sometime around, the first part of the season. And again, got his treatment. If you look at even more recently, I mean, the day before we really got the absolute diagnosis, he went first to home with some of the most beautiful artistic, athletic movements you'll see. Looked like Tati. He's still able to replicate those things. But we also see him, having trouble getting started, and so he's probably been dealing with it for a while now, and it hadn't really impacted ultimately his play tremendously. But as we saw it start to be more consistent with how he was recovering and how he's feeling,
So it wasn't like a singular issue.
it was not a traumatic. This happened, and oh my gosh, I feel like it was like one of those things, like it happened, and then over the course of time, it's gotten to where it's at.